My sister got pregnant by my boyfriend, and he left her. But my parents blamed me for this, and sent me email with a PDF attachment titled, Baby Expenses, totaling over $20,000. So I laughed in their face and told. My name is Stella, and I've always been the responsible one. Growing up in a modest suburban home with my younger sister Mia, I learned early on that life wasn't going to hand me anything on a silver platter. While Mia got the new clothes and the latest phone models, I wore hand-me-downs and worked part-time jobs through high school to buy my own things. I remember when we were teenagers, Mia crashed our dad's car while joyriding with friends. Instead of punishing her, my parents bought her driving lessons, and eventually a used car of her own. When I asked why I never got a car despite maintaining perfect grades and working 2 jobs, Dad just shrugged. Mia needs more encouragement to stay on the right path. You're already doing fine. Another time, Mia ruined my prom dress the night before the dance by borrowing it without asking and spilling red wine all over it. My parents told me to be understanding and loaned me money for a last-minute replacement, money they later forgave Mia for but made me pay back in full. Despite everything, I pushed forward. I put myself through college while Mia dropped out after a semester, claiming it wasn't her thing. I landed a decent job at a marketing firm, rented a nice apartment, and eventually met Derek. Derek and I had been together for 2 years when Mia called me crying about losing her job again. I don't know what to do, still. She sobbed through the phone. They fired me for being late, but it wasn't even my fault. The bus was delayed, and my boss is a total jerk. I sighed, knowing the real story probably involved me as chronic irresponsibility, but she was still my sister. What do you need? I asked. Can I stay with you for a bit? Just until I find another job. My landlord's kicking me out at the end of the week. I glanced around the apartment I shared with Derek. It wasn't huge, but we had a pull-out couch in the living room. Let me talk to Derek, I said. Derek wasn't thrilled about the idea. He'd met Mia several times and found her self-centered and dramatic. It's just for a few weeks, I promised. She needs help getting back on her feet. So 2 months ago, Mia moved in with her 2 suitcases and endless drama. She sprawled her belongings all over our living room, used up my expensive shampoo, and made little effort to find a new job. I'm researching opportunities, she'd say, scrolling through social media on her phone. Derek tried to hide his annoyance, but I could see it in the tight lines around his mouth when he came home to find Mia watching TV in her pajamas at 4 p.m. Last Tuesday started like any other day. I had an important client meeting at 2 p.m., but around noon I felt a migraine coming on, blurred vision, nausea, the works. After taking medication that didn't help, I told my boss I needed to reschedule. Go home and rest, she said. We'll move the Roberts meeting to Thursday. I drove home, looking forward to a dark room and silence. When I unlocked the door to my apartment, I heard strange noises coming from the bedroom. Thinking Mia might be sick or in trouble, I rushed down the hallway. The bedroom door was partially open. I pushed it wider and froze. There, in my bed, were my sister and my boyfriend, naked, together. Time seemed to stop. Derek saw me first, his eyes widening in shock. He shoved Mia away and grabbed for the sheet. Stella, this isn't, Mia turned, and to my complete disbelief, she didn't even look ashamed. She just sat there, covering herself casually as if I'd walked in on her watching TV. What the hell is this? My voice came out surprisingly steady. Derek jumped up, wrapping the sheet around his waist. Baby, I'm so sorry. It just happened. Just happened? I repeated. You just happened to fall into bed with my sister? Mia rolled her eyes. Oh, come on, Stella. Don't be so dramatic. The casual dismissal in her voice made something snap inside me. 2 years with Derek, 2 months helping Mia. And this was how they repaid me. Get out, I said, both of you, now. Derek started pleading, making pathetic excuses about how Mia had come on to him, how meaningless it was, how much he loved me. But Mia just laughed. Don't bother Derek. She was never good enough for you anyway. She looked at me with cold eyes. I love him, Stella, and I'm taking him. He's been unhappy with you for months. I stormed to the closet, yanked out their clothes, and threw them into the hallway. Then I grabbed Mia's suitcases from the living room and Derek's gym bag from the closet. You have 5 minutes to pack and get out before I call the police, I said, my voice shaking with rage. They dressed hurriedly, stuffing belongings into their bags while I stood with my arms crossed, staring at the wall. When they finished, I followed them to the door. Stella, please. Derek tried one last time. We need to talk about this. There's nothing to talk about, I said, shoving them into the hallway and throwing their remaining bags after them. You're dead to me, both of you. I slammed the door, locked it, and slid down to the floor, finally letting the tears come. I spent that night crying until I had no tears left. My phone buzzed constantly with texts from Derek begging for forgiveness, but I deleted them all without reading. Around 9 p.m., my mother's name flashed on the screen. I hesitated before answering. Hello? What the hell is wrong with you? Mom's voice was shrill with anger. I pulled the phone away from my ear. Excuse me? How dare you throw your sister out on the street? She called me crying. Stella, she has nowhere to go. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Mom, do you even know what happened? Mia was sleeping with Derek. I caught them in my bed. So what? These things happen. You had no right to kick her out of the apartment. She's your sister, for God's sake. She's in love with him, Stella. You should be happy for her. Happy? My voice cracked. Are you serious right now? Listen to me. You have a good job and can find another apartment. Why don't you just let Mia and Derek have your place? They need it more than you do. The suggestion was so absurd I wondered if I was hallucinating. Let me get this straight. You want me to give my apartment to my sister and the boyfriend she stole from me? Are you insane? Don't talk to me like that. You've always been selfish, Stella. You've always been jealous of your sister. Just grow up and do the right thing. I laughed bitterly. The right thing? Like what Mia did. Or what you're doing now? You're impossible, Mom snapped. I raised you better than this. No, you didn't. You raised Mia to think she can take whatever she wants, and you raised me to let her. I'm done with all of you. Stella. I hung up before she could say more and immediately blocked her number. Then I blocked Mia and Derek too. I'd spent my entire life being the responsible one, the understanding one, the one who sacrificed. Not anymore. Over the next few days, I learned from my cousin Emily that Mia and Derek had moved in with my parents. Apparently, they were the new golden couple, with my mother cooing over them at family dinners. Mia's going around telling everyone Derek's the love of her life, Emily told me over coffee. She's posting these sickening couple photos all over Instagram with captions like, "When you finally find your soulmate." It's disgusting. I don't care, I said, even though I did, it hurt like hell. But I threw myself into work. My boss, Alicia, noticed my renewed dedication. "Whatever's fueling this productivity streak, I like it," she said one day. "The Roberts campaign was brilliant, Stella. I'm recommending you for the senior marketing strategist position." The promotion came with a significant raise in my own office. I decided to celebrate with friends at Riverfront, a trendy bar downtown. My college friend Zach insisted on buying rounds for everyone. "To Stella, marketing genius and all-around badass," he toasted, raising his glass. Several drinks later, our group had dwindled to just Zach and me. I'd known him since freshman year of college. He was my best male friend, the person I called when my car broke down or when I needed honest feedback on a presentation. He'd never liked Derek, calling him suspiciously perfect and too slick by half. "I never told you this," I said, feeling loose from the alcohol. "But you were right about Derek." Zach's expression softened. "I'm sorry he hurt you, Stell. You deserve better." Something in the way he looked at me made my heart skip. We'd always had chemistry but had never crossed the line from friendship to something more. That night, the line blurred. I don't remember who suggested going back to his place, but I remember the butterflies in my stomach as we stumbled through his door laughing. I remember the moment our laughter faded into something more intense. I remember the first kiss, tentative, then hungry. The next morning I woke up in Zach's bed, momentarily confused, then mortified. "Oh my God," I groaned, sitting up with the sheet clutched to my chest. "What did we do?" Zach handed me a cup of coffee, already dressed in sweatpants and a t-shirt. "Nothing we need to regret," he said carefully. "Unless you do?" I took a sip, buying time. "I don't know. You're my best friend. I don't want to ruin that." He sat on the edge of the bed. "Who says it has to be ruined? Maybe it could be better." I studied his face, the kind blue eyes, the slight worry crease between his brows. This was Zach, who'd held my hair back when I got sick at a frat party a decade ago. Zach, who drove 4 hours to help me move into my first apartment. Zach, who knew all my flaws and liked me anyway. "Are you saying you want to date me?" I asked. He smiled, a hint of nervousness in it. "I'm saying I've wanted to date you since sophomore year, but the timing was never right. I thought about Derek's betrayal, about jumping into another relationship so soon. But this wasn't a rebound with a stranger. This was Zach. Maybe we could try," I said cautiously, but slowly. He nodded. I can do slow. He couldn't, as it turned out. Within weeks, we were officially a couple. To my surprise, his parents were thrilled. Finally, his mother exclaimed when he told them. She hugged me tight. "We've been waiting years for him to wise up and see what was right in front of him." His father clapped my shoulder. "You're already family, Stella. Now it's just official." It felt surreal having parents who actually supported me, who treated me like I mattered. Zach's family had always welcomed me, but now there was a new warmth in their acceptance. Meanwhile, Mia continued posting loved-up photos with Derek. I saw them when I occasionally checked social media, their smiling faces projected like a perfect couple. In the early days, each picture felt like a knife twisting in my gut. But as weeks passed and my relationship with Zach deepened, the pain dulled. 6 months later, Zach took me to the lighthouse at sunset, got down on one knee and asked me to marry him. I said yes without hesitation. We planned our engagement party for 3 months later at Bellini's, an upscale Italian restaurant downtown. I sent invitations to all my close friends, Zach's family, and several relatives from my dad's side who'd always been kind to me. I deliberately didn't invite my parents, Mia. Some wounds were too deep to mend. The night of the party was perfect. Zach's mother Janet had helped arrange everything, from the soft lighting to the flowers that matched my engagement ring. For the first time in my life, I felt truly celebrated. The next morning, I was still riding the high of the celebration when my phone rang. I almost declined when I saw it was my mother. I recently unblocked her number, but something made me answer. "What do you want, Mom?" I said flatly. "How could you?" Her voice trembled with accusation. "How could you have an engagement party and not invite your own family?" I sighed, already exhausted by the conversation. "I invited the family I wanted there. We're your parents, Stella. And Mia is your sister, no matter what happened between you two." "You mean no matter that she slept with my boyfriend and you told me to give them my apartment? That kind of what happened?" "Family is forever, Stella. You don't turn your back on family." "Funny. That's exactly what you and Dad did to me. And what Mia did too. That's not fair. We've always been there for you." "No, Mom. You've always been there for Mia." "There's a difference." She paused, then changed tactics. "Your father was hurt that you didn't invite him to walk you down the aisle. It wasn't a wedding, it was an engagement party. And, considering you both took Mia and Derek's side, why would I want either of you there?" She huffed indignantly. "You're being childish and cruel." "Goodbye, Mom." I hung up and blocked her number again. The months after our engagement flew by, in a whirlwind of wedding preparations. Zach's mother was a godsend, helping with everything from venue selections to cake tastings. His sister Maya became my unofficial wedding planner. creating detailed spreadsheets and timelines. You're the sister I should have had, I told Maya one day as we compared bridesmaid dress swatches. She squeezed my hand. Works out perfectly since you're the sister I always wanted. My phone rang one evening as Zach and I were discussing honeymoon destinations. I didn't recognize the number but answered anyway. Stella, it's Mom. Her voice sounded strange, tight, and strained. You need to come to the house right away. It's a matter of life and death. My stomach dropped. Despite everything, they were still my parents. Is Dad okay? Are you sick? Just come, please, as soon as possible. I hung up, my mind racing with possibilities, cancer, heart attack, some terrible accident. I need to go to my parents' house, I told Zach. Mom says it's an emergency. He frowned. Want me to come with you? No, I'll be fine. I'll call if I need you. The drive to my childhood home took 30 minutes, each mile increasing my anxiety. What if Dad was dying? What if Mom was seriously ill? Despite our estrangement, I wasn't sure I was ready to lose either of them. I parked in the driveway and hurried to the door. Mom answered immediately, as if she'd been watching for me. What's going on? I demanded, stepping inside. Who's hurt? Mom led me to the living room where Dad sat in his armchair. Looking perfectly beside him on the sofa was Mia, her eyes red and puffy from crying. Relief that no one was dying quickly gave way to suspicion. What is this? Mom gestured toward Mia. Your sister needs you. I remained standing, arms crossed. Why? Mia sniffled dramatically. Derek left me. I waited for more, but that seemed to be the entire emergency. That's why you called me over here. Because Mia's relationship problems? Mom nodded gravely. There's more. She's pregnant. I looked at Mia's tear-streaked face, then at my parents' worried expressions. And? Derek's gone, Mom said, as if I hadn't heard the first time. He moved to Arizona. He's refusing to marry her or support the baby. I shrugged. What does this have to do with me? Mom and Dad exchanged glances. Well, Mom said, this is partly your fault. The statement was so absurd I thought I'd misheard. My fault? How exactly is Mia getting pregnant by my ex-boyfriend my fault? You should have warned her about what kind of man Derek was, Mom said. You knew him better than anyone. I stared at her, speechless. Then I started laughing. I couldn't help it. Let me get this straight, I said, when I could speak again. My sister sleeps with my boyfriend, steals him from me, moves in with him, and gets pregnant. He leaves her, and somehow this is my fault because I didn't warn her that the man she stole from me might not be trustworthy? Don't twist my words, Mom snapped. You know what I mean? I really don't. Dad leaned forward. Your sister needs help now, Stella. This isn't the time to hold grudges. I looked at Mia, who was watching me with that familiar manipulative expression I'd grown up with, the one that had always worked on our parents. What kind of help are you expecting from me? I asked. Financial support. For starters, Mom said, Mia can't work in her condition, and she'll need money for doctor visits, baby supplies. No. I said simply, I'm not giving Mia money. Her pregnancy isn't my responsibility. Mom stood up, her face flushed with anger. How can you be so heartless? This is your niece or nephew we're talking about, and Mia is the woman who betrayed me in the worst possible way, who you defended and supported in that betrayal. Why would I help her now? Because she's family, Mom shouted. That excuse doesn't work on me anymore. I turned to leave. I'm sorry about your situation, Mia, but it's not my problem. I left to the sound of my mother's indignant protests, feeling lighter than I had in months. For the first time in my life, I'd stood up to them without backing down. For the next week, I threw myself into wedding preparations. Janet and Maya helped me finalize the floral arrangements and menu selections, while Zach handled the music and photographer. Then, on a quiet Saturday morning, while Zach and I were enjoying coffee and planning our honeymoon, an email notification popped up on my phone. Oh no, I gasped when I opened it. What is it? Zach asked, concerned. I handed him my phone. It was an email from my mother with a PDF attachment titled Baby Expenses. The document was meticulously organized, listing dozens of items: prenatal vitamins, $150 per month, childbirth classes, $300, maternity clothes, $800, doctor's visits, $200 per visit, hospital delivery, $10,000, crib, $500, stroller, $350, car seat, $200, diapers, $100 per month, formula, $150 per month. The list went on, totaling over $20,000. At the bottom was a note, as we discussed, since Derek's abandonment of Mia and your future niece-nephew is ultimately your responsibility, we expect you to cover these expenses. Please arrange payment as soon as possible, Mom. I nearly dropped my coffee mug. They can't be serious. Zach's jaw had dropped open. This is beyond ridiculous. It's delusional. What should I do? I asked, feeling a headache coming on. Ignore it? Block them again? I considered it. But something about this latest absurdity demanded a response. No, I'm tired of them thinking they can manipulate me. I composed a reply. Mom, I will not be paying any expenses related to Mia's pregnancy or child. Her situation is a direct result of her own choices, specifically, her choice to betray me by sleeping with my boyfriend. Neither I nor my fiancé will provide financial support or any other form of assistance. Please do not contact me again regarding this matter or any other. I no longer wish to have a relationship with you, Dad, or Mia, Stella. I hit send, then blocked their email addresses and any other contact methods I'd missed before. There, I said, feeling both relieved and sad. It's done. Within 30 minutes, my phone started ringing with calls from my parents and Mia. I silenced them all. When they couldn't reach me by phone, they started calling my friends and extended family. My cousin Emily called, confused. Your mom is telling everyone you're refusing to help your pregnant sister because you're jealous. What's going on? Similar calls came from other relatives and even old high school friends. My parents were apparently on a smear campaign, painting me as cruel and heartless. I'm so tired of this, I told Zach after the 5th call. They're twisting everything. Then set the record straight. He suggested, you have the receipts, literally. After thinking it over, I decided he was right. I posted a lengthy explanation on social media, detailing everything from Mia's betrayal to my parents' defense of her, culminating in their demand that I finance her pregnancy. I attached screenshots of the expense list as proof. The response was overwhelming. Friends and family members expressed shock at my parents' behavior. Even relatives who had initially believed their version reached out to apologize. I had no idea, my Aunt Susan wrote. Your mother made it sound like you abandoned Mia in her time of need. I should have known better. For about 2 weeks things were quiet. The wedding was approaching, and I was immersed in final preparations. Then, on a Saturday afternoon, there was a loud knocking at our door. I peeked through the peephole and groaned. It's my parents. Zach came to stand beside me. Want me to get rid of them? No, I'll handle it. Maybe we can finally end this. I opened the door to find my mother, father, and a visibly pregnant Mia standing in the hallway. Mom started shouting before I could speak. How dare you humiliate us online? Taking family matters public like that? We raised you better. I let her rant without interruption, watching as her face grew redder and her gestures more animated. Dad occasionally nodded in agreement, while Mia stood with one hand on her swollen belly, playing the victim perfectly. When Mom finally paused for breath, I spoke calmly. Are you finished? We're just getting started, Dad said. We're not leaving until you agree to help your sister. I laughed softly. That's not going to happen. You selfish, ungrateful, Mom started again. Stop. Zach stepped forward, his voice firm but controlled. You've said enough, and I won't let you bully her anymore. Bully her? Dad scoffed. We're her parents. Parents who've consistently favored one child and expected the other to sacrifice everything, Zach said. Parents who defended their daughter's betrayal and now want to make Stella financially responsible for it. That's not parenting, that's abuse. Mom gasped dramatically. How dare you? It's time for you to leave, Zach continued. If you don't, I'll call security. You wouldn't dare, Dad challenged. Zach pulled out his phone. Try me. They left, but not before Mom delivered a parting threat. This isn't over, Stella. You'll regret turning your back on family. After they left, several relatives called to report that my parents were still bad-mouthing me. Some had even seen my mother and Mia outside their church with a handwritten poster claiming Stella Jenkins abandoned her pregnant sister. They're unbelievable, I told Zach, but I'm done caring. Our wedding day arrived 3 months later. Despite my parents' drama, it was everything I'd dreamed of. We held the ceremony and reception at a beautiful lakeside venue, surrounded by people who genuinely cared about us. Zach had hired security, just in case. His foresight proved necessary when my parents and a very pregnant Mia tried to crash the reception, poster in hand. The security guards calmly but firmly turned them away. Your family's here, Maya told me, gesturing to the gathered guests. The real one. She was right. Looking around at the smiling faces of friends who'd become family, and in-laws who treated me with more love than my own parents ever had, I felt complete. Zach and I left the next day for our honeymoon in Hawaii. 2 blissful weeks of sunshine and new beginnings. Months later, I heard through Emily that Mia had given birth to a boy. My parents were helping raise him, complaining constantly about their financial struggles and their heartless daughter who wouldn't help. But their words no longer hurt me. I had built a life with a man who respected and loved me, surrounded by people who supported us. I had broken free from the toxic patterns of my childhood and found happiness on my own terms.